Assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope everybody is doing fine, staying warm, um, and staying safe in your houses. Okay. All right. So today's lecture, we're gonna be doing our lab work. We're gonna be logging into the console, and we'll just walk around, inside the console and see how things go and how things are set up and laid out there. Um, Before I start, let me quickly go over what we covered last time. Okay, and then we'll proceed. And feel free to stop me if you have any questions, what we covered last time. Okay, so we talked about certifications, what level of certification Amazon is offering, and also what are their costs and the value proposition we discussed last time. Um, And then we looked into EC2 service, which is Amazon's compute service, which is called Elastic Compute Cloud. Um, there were different types of EC2 services. Sorry, was there a question? All right. Okay. So there are, 5 different types of very common instance types: on-demand, spot, reserve, dedicated. So these are the ones. And then we looked into what is their pricing model and what capabilities do each of these offer to us. And we looked into the capability of the EC2 instances, the elastic nature, completeness, and the pricing model. We skipped this slide, and I'm gonna go over this slide shortly. And then, there are different types of EC2 instances, general purpose, memory optimized, storage optimized, or compute optimized, and they have, different use cases, per instance type. And then after that, we looked into their pricing models. What is the pricing model for on-demand instances? What is the pricing model for spot instances, dedicated hosts or reserved instances? Their pricing model, their use cases we looked into. And I asked you guys about the free tier account setup. I hope that everybody has their free tier account set up already. Those of us in the class who do not have set it up yet, please raise your hand so that I would know how many of us do not have access to the console yet. Okay. Okay, so we have 2 of our folks at this time who do not have access. Okay, if you guys stick around, maybe after this call, we'll just go over and see how we could, get if you're running into any issues, how we could, get them resolved. Okay, and then so these are the areas, which we covered. Any question on those before I proceed on? Okay, I want you guys to download one putty package. So I uploaded to our OneDrive, and I'm gonna ping it here in the chat. I want you guys to just click on this link and download this, and see if you could install that. If not, just hold off to it, and I will just go over with you how to get that get that installed. It's just pretty straightforward. It's a package that is required to access Linux instances into the cloud. Okay. Now today's agenda, we're gonna be looking into 3 of the main AWS services. One is the AWS keys. What is the purpose of keys? And then we're going to look into AWS security group. What is the purpose of that? And also we're going to launch two instances. One instance will be Linux instance and another instance will be Windows instance. So these are, this is the, all three tasks we're going to be performing inside the console. Let me just quickly go over with you guys um, what is the purpose of AWS keys. Okay, so the purpose of key is, let's say you launch a Linux instance, Linux operating system, and in order to log into the Linux instance, there are two methods of it. One is you provide the user ID, and another is to provide the user ID, and then afterward you provide the password. This is a traditional method of providing the credentials. You type in the those credentials, and then you get the login prompt, and you are authenticated inside the operating system, and you can perform that. Uh, so yes, Khadija, you will be using the terminal of your Mac machines. Mac machine users do not require to download this package. This is the package which the PuTTY package is only required for Windows. So if you have a Windows laptop or desktop, that's where you require this PuTTY package. The Mac machines or those who are using Linux machines, I'm gonna just go over with you guys to how to access Linux instances through the terminal window. Okay. All right. So once we provide the login credentials, we get the login prompt, and then we can build upon it. We can install the service, create the service, or whatever the purpose of the Linux machine is. This is a traditional method of doing logging in or accessing it from the outside. Another method of accessing is through the keys method. Okay, and the keys method is that we have to have two type of keys. One is the private key, and another one is the public key. So how it goes is when you go and provision the instance inside the Amazon console, Amazon by default creates one public key for you, and that public key resides inside your Linux system. And then through the command line or through the PuTTY command line, or you call it terminal inside your Mac machine, or through your Windows, we use PuTTY tool. Sorry about my writing here. Okay, so using one of these tools, we provide the private key, and the purpose of this private key is to authenticate, go in there, authenticate or compare it with the public key, and once the keys get matched, then you get the login prompt. So this way you do not have to provide your username or password like you do using a traditional method here. Okay, so Amazon actually enforces us to use the public private key method to authenticate and then log in into the Linux systems. Similar thing, Amazon enforces us to use the similar thing for our Windows machines as well, or Windows instances. But how do we get into Windows instances using the public and private key? Windows, those who have used Windows in the past or currently using it, you know that Windows has an administrator user. So we need a password for this administrator user. And how do we get the password for the administrator user? The key pair that we created inside the Amazon AWS console, we use the private key to decrypt the content and get the administrator password. Once we get the administrator password, then we just type in there in the RDP here, remote desktop protocol, and through that we are able to get into the Windows machine or Windows instance. Now what's happening is there are some default ports through which we access the operating system. Linux by default has a service which is called SSH or secure shell. Come on. Secure shell. So this SSH service is the one that's Linux, a Linux machine listens to for any incoming connections, and it listens on port 22. This is the port number for the SSH service. Okay, so wherever you see that your server is listening to 22, that means it is listening on port, listening on SSH service. And you, if you have the authentication, like if you have the username or password, or if you have the right keys, you can just simply provide the key pair, and you will be able to connect to it through the command line. Okay, so Linux listens on SSH service, which is the default port is 22. Give me 1 second. Okay, so Linux listens on that, and then on the other hand, the Windows we access through RDP or remote desk. Come on, remote desktop protocol. Okay. Okay, this is a graphical, interface or GUI interface that they call it. RDP listens on port 3389. This is the port number for RDP. You don't have to remember all the port numbers, but the more you practice, it will come, come by default to you, and you will be learning more about different port numbers here as well. So Linux command line is SSH, which listens on port 22. Windows graphical interface, it listens on port 3389. Okay. As an example about other ports, how many of us know about this HTTP or HTTPS? Maybe anybody just unmute and let me know. What is HTTP and what is HTTPS?
This hypertext protocol.
Yep. Hypertext protocol. Okay. What is the purpose of that, Imtiaz bhai? Do you know?
Basically, it communicates through the web protocol, like all those services through the web services. So they use hypertext media to transfer any information. You say that.
Okay.
S for secure, and
Okay.
without the S is without secure. That could be.
Okay. Okay. Do you know what port number are are these?
Uh, Basically, I mean, we use localhost, but I mean, it can be used. Not much of knowledge on that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Mhm.
That's okay.
HTTP listens on port 80 and
Yep.
HTTPS on port 443.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. I remember.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Yeah. So HTTP stands for uh, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and then you put the secure at the end of this one, or secure HTTP. HTTP is basically it is mainly used for the web traffic or the web browser traffic. Let's say you just type google.com, or let's say you type iecHussaini.org, or maybe amazon.com or walmart.com or target.com or whatever, right? So all those addresses that you type into the browser, they actually um, uh, you know listen to port 80 if they are going through a simple text protocol, or if they are going through secure protocol, their port number is 443. So it's a web access protocol. um, I believe back in 2018, 2017. So Google started cracking down on companies that were running um, their web servers on port 80, or their web servers running only on HTTP. Google started enforcing, sorry, Google started enforcing those organizations to move their websites from HTTP to HTTPS. That means to make sure that their um, transfer of their content is secure. This is for the security, privacy, and all those, because of all those reasons. So that's why majority of the websites, they have moved toward HTTPS. Um, so the purpose of this, okay, are you guys able to hear me fine?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Okay, perfect. All right. There may be a glitch at that time, sister. Um, if you're still not able to hear me fine, just unmute and let me know. Okay. All right. So you see that all these services, SSH service, the SSH service or RDP service or HTTP service or HTTPS service. So all these services, they reside on an operating system, but they listen on certain specific port, right? If we go create a port matrix, um, service versus port, then SSH listens to port 22, RDP listens to 3389, and then HTTP port 80 or HTTPS port 443. And there are several services like your mail service, the classical SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol. Your mail service, like you have your Outlook email addresses configured on your Outlook or your any of your mail client. Classic mail service listens on port 25, and then there are different databases, they listen on certain specific ports as well. There's a huge port matrix, and I'll see if I could pull that and provide it to you guys. So what's happening is from port number 1 to 10 to I believe 24. So these are called reserve ports. So what is the purpose of these reserve ports is like port 22 is a reserve port for SSH. Port 80 is reserved for HTTP. So there are, several ports that they reserve for, a specific purpose. And then after that, any port after, 1024 up to 65535. So these are the open ports, and you can use those ports for any of your application. Let's say you're building an application, or let's say you want to change your Linux machine to listen to port, let's say you want that listen to 3109, for example. Instead of listening on port 22, you can make that configuration changes, and I'll show you how to do that. So you can make those changes, or if you are, let's say, building an application and you want that application to listen to that port, to that specific new port, then you just pick any port number outside 1024 and get your work done, or get your application start listening to it, or people getting connected to it. What is the purpose of listening? What does this listening to port means? Listening means that, let's say you have this Linux server, and it has an ear here, which is, or you have a hole poked into this Linux operating system on port 22. So anybody coming from the outside, if they have the IP address or the host name of the machine, they will be able to connect to it through port 22. And if they have the right login credentials, they will be able to get in and get the login prompt. Okay, so listening means that that these ports they are waiting for a connection, so they can connect from the outside to that specific port number, whoever is coming from the outside. Okay, so this way, your machine can, listen to this port, or you can connect to it. So let's say I have this Linux web server. So with this Linux web server, I am running a web server here as well. And with that web server, I have the default port 80 open on that. So now my Linux machine is listening on two ports now. One is port 22 and another is port 80. So anybody coming from the internet can come and connect to the port 80, or to the to this web server here. Let's say this is for example Amazon.com server. Then what's going to happen is, from my house, or from over the internet, I just go in there and I can simply type in, Amazon.com. There is a resolution process, so it get resolved, and it pointed me to this server, and this server I can connect to port 80. Okay, so this is the main purpose of these ports. Why am I telling you guys about these ports here is, so what's happening is, in a cloud, there is an explicit denial rule. That means that you have a VPC boundary, okay, which stands for virtual private cloud. Don't worry about this. In our coming class, we're gonna be doing 2 consecutive classes on this VPC, because it's a big topic. So it covers the network and security and other areas. So what's going to happen is, inside the VPC boundary, let's say this is your AWS console, and you have this, availability zone. If you guys remember, we discussed the availability zone, right? So inside the availability zone, we have one VPC, and inside the VPC, let's say if I have a Linux instance running, and it is listening on SSH port, which is port 22. If I try to come in, let's say from the internet, if I try to come in and try to connect to this machine here on this port, I will not be able to connect to it. Although this machine is already listening to it and waiting for someone to come and connect to it, I will not be able to connect to it. And why would I not be able to connect to it? Is because that there is a security group around it. And the purpose of the security group is it's an outbound or it's an outside firewall that deters all the traffic. Whatever the traffic coming in, it deters it, that it will not let you in and your packet gets dropped here. So security group, it secures it, it blankets around your entire instances inside the inside your um, your AWS console. So in order for me to connect from outside to this Linux instance, what I will have to do is I will have to poke a hole inside the within that security group or SG, and I will have to open it up for port 22. So what it's going to do is this will open up a pipe from my Linux machine to the security group. Now, if I try to connect from the internet here to this Linux instance, I will be able to straight up go in there, connect through this pipe. Security group will check, hey, this this connection request is coming for this Linux machine on port 22. It will allow me and I will be able to connect to the Linux machine here. So main purpose of security group is security group. It actually engulfs around your entire AWS account. Let's put it this way. And it has explicit deny rule. So it will deny everything unless it is explicitly allowed. So it will deny whatever coming in from the internet, it will get denied here unless we have certain specific ports are enabled onto it. So once we are going in there, we're gonna poke a hole for our Linux instances for port 22 and for our Windows instance for the port 3389, so that we will be able to connect from outside to port 22 to our Linux, or from outside to our Windows instances to port 3389. Okay, is everybody clear on this one here, or do you have any questions on it? Because this is an important topic to understand. All right, so we have a quite crowd here today. I hope everybody is able to hear me fine. Maybe a couple of people just raise their hand. That's more than enough for me here. All right, perfect. Thank you, sister. Thank you, Radha. All right, perfect. Sounds great. You guys can lower your hand. All right, thank you much. So this is the main purpose of security group, and this is the purpose of the ports that the security group. It maps the port and open a pipe from the instance to the security boundaries. It's like that you have your property and then you have a security boundary around that. You poke a hole for what a front entrance. Maybe you poke a hole for your backyard entrance or backdoor entrance. Okay, or so anybody who want to come in, they will straight up come in through, if they are allowed, they will come in through the front door. Or let's say you want to go to your backyard, so or come outside your backyard, so you can use that and go outside that. So this is a layman term of, security groups here. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go back in here. So we looked into AWS keys. We looked into the security group. The next one is the AWS launch instances. We're going to be launching instance inside the cloud. We're going to be launching a Linux instance and a Windows instance. But before we go do that, what we have to do is we have to uh, create our keys and also create our security group and poke different holes into that. You guys can follow along. um, I am going to I am already logged into the console. So this is the console. I am logged in. You see that, this is showing my email address. Um, right now it is showing me Ohio. I want you all to change this to North Virginia. Okay. Let me just maximize the size for you guys. Okay. So I am in North Virginia region. All right. And I am on, in my console right now. We went through a couple of things, into the console, I believe last time. All right, so here, in order to go in and look for, okay, in order to, go in and look for those, what services Amazon is providing. So right now we are going to perform all our tasks inside EC2. So how do we access EC2? There are multiple ways of doing it. One is, over here you see services. Let me see if I could. Okay. So in services, you can drop down and under compute, you see EC2 here. That's one way of doing it. Second is if you have recently accessed those services, you will see it under the recently visited services, or here, down below, you see if I expand upon that, all services compute EC2, or top here in the search box, if I just type EC2, I can access the service here as well. Okay, so there are multiple ways of going into the EC2. Okay, pretty much all the services you can go do that. So here I'm gonna just click on EC2. All right, so once I'm in EC2, ensure that I am in North Virginia. What I'm gonna do is I am looking into the resources section. You see this box in here. Here it is telling me I have 0 instances running, 0 elastic IP, everything is 0 here. Key pairs are 0, placement group, snapshots, dedicated host instance, load balancer, except security group, there's 1. The rest is all 0, right? Why security group is 1? Because whenever Amazon creates your account, it creates one default security group for you. Okay. All right. So,
Tatsubai,
yes.
sorry to interrupt. I was trying to log in as well. So, are we root users or I am user? What should be
Root
our
user.
root user? Okay.
Root user. Yes. Yeah. We're gonna go in with IAM user. Once we go to the IAM lab, and then after that, we're gonna be start using our IAM user to log in. But for now, everybody log in as root user. Okay. All right. So here on the left-hand side, left-hand pane, you see, a couple of, options in here. Here, if I scroll down in here, there are 2 areas where we're gonna be, working first. Okay. Under network and security, you see the security groups. That's where we're gonna be working. And the second is key pairs. Okay. So first off, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on key pairs. See that I do not have any key pair. I had a couple of key pairs which I deleted just before this call, so that to show you guys a clean slate. All right, so here in the key pairs, if I go back to my doodling here, okay. So we are going to look into this area here, public and private key. This is what we are going to create. So how we go do that? On right hand side, this orange icon, click on this, create key pair. Okay, now we have to provide the name of that. Okay, I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to name it as whatever name you like. Okay, I'm going to name it as IEC in 2021. Okay, so I name this key as this. There are two different file formats. Okay, those of us who are Mac users. Okay, it's only for Mac users. Those who are using Mac machines, create your key or click on this PEM. Can you, okay, how many of us have Mac machines here? Can you raise your hand, please? Okay. All right, so we have only one. Okay, two. Okay. Okay, so yeah, you can lower your hand. So those Mac users, click on PEM. The rest of the guys, the Windows guys, click on PPK. My machine is a Windows machine, so I am going to, create this PPK file. Okay. Tags is optional. Just, don't worry about the tags at this time. Okay. Windows guys, PPK, Mac guys, PEM. Okay. Once you click on it, then click on create key pair. Once you click on it, it will create a key for you, and also at the bottom here, it downloaded the key as well. Okay, so now I have a key, which is a private key, which is downloaded here for me. Okay, and I can go into my downloads folder. Under my downloads, you see that I have this key pair created, and look at the key name. Key name is same as what it is mentioning here. Faisal underscore IEC underscore spring underscore 2021 dot ppk. Remember, Mac guys dot pem, Windows guys dot ppk. Okay, so I have the PuTTY private key file or ppk file downloaded to my downloads folder. You have to keep this key file safe and secure. If you have it in downloads folder, just leave it there, because if you lose that key, you will not be able to access your Linux or Windows instances. Okay. So this is the first step we just performed, that we created our PPK file, or we created our key here. Okay. Now,
Faisal bhai, can you repeat the step? After assign the name, what button should we click?
okay, let me go do that. Let me just create another one for you guys. Okay. Let me just name it as test key, and then I'll delete it afterwards. Okay. I named the key. Okay. Windows machine, I clicked on PPK. Okay. And at the bottom here, you see create key pair. Click on this orange button, orange icon. Soon as I click on this orange icon, keep an eye out here at the bottom area that it will create a key, and also it will download a private key for me here. Okay. So once I click on the create key pair, see it created this test key with this fingerprint. And at the bottom, I have a test key. So if I go into my downloads folder, I should be seeing two keys, right? See, I am seeing one, my first key, which I created, and then second key, which is a test key. I can delete that. You know what? I'm gonna just delete that right now.
So the type of this file would be PuTTY private key, correct?
Correct. PPK. Yes.
Got it.
Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just delete this key. How do I delete this key? I'm gonna just click on the checkbox here, highlighted this, and then on the right hand side, you see the actions. Go in there and delete key. So it's not gonna let me delete that. Previously, it just, allows you to do that, but for the security purpose that, you are not deleting it accidentally. So I have to just type to confirm deletion, type delete in the box here. So I just have to type delete here. See, this delete icon is disabled. Soon as I type delete, this is enabled. So now this key is is deleted now. Successfully deleted one key pair. Okay.
One question.
Yes.
Suppose if I lose that key, then I make a copy of this key somewhere else. Can I use that key, or I have to use by the all means that downloaded key which I created initially? Meaning I can use the copy of that file, or I need the original file.
Okay. So let's say I have it downloaded here, then I copied to my USB drive and then, copied over, or let's say I emailed this key to, let's say, to my some other server or some other computer. Is that what you're saying? That, I have another copy of this key,
Right.
and then I accidentally deleted this key from this machine.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So if I have, access to the backup of that key, wherever it is, either it is on a USB or to some other computer or to my email or wherever.
Right.
If I could, get the access to that, I should be good. But let's say, if I created the key here, let's say on this laptop, I have this key downloaded. So you get this key from here, from AWS console, you get this key downloaded just once. Amazon gives you only one private key. You cannot get multiple keys, from Amazon. So if I lost that key, if I accidentally deleted that key, then this key pair here at Amazon or at my console is just useless for me. So what we'll have to do is I'll have to recreate a new key here. And then, using that new key, I will be able to access my Linux machines, because this local copy here is required to access your instances, be it Linux or Windows or any other services as well. So at this time, for now, for your Linux or Windows instances, you have to have this key. So you have to ensure that this key is kept secure somewhere. Okay. Right now I have it downloaded, to my downloads folder, but I should not be having it in downloads. I should be having it, to some secure location. Okay. For the Mac guys, you would be seeing it under downloads folder as well, that PEM file. Okay.
So is that mean that that key is containing all the information of my AWS setup, correct?
No. This is just the key to enter into your Linux instance or Windows instance.
Okay, there is nothing is gonna store in that key that
No.
how many ECT I created. That kind of information is not okay. Got it.
It's just like your house key.
Okay.
Right? Your house key does not have any information how many rooms you have or what type of furniture you have, right? House key is just the one that that lets you enter your house.
Got it.
Right? So same thing here. So it does not have any information, but if you if you lose that house key, you will have to create get created a new one. So same thing here.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Alrighty. So, any other question before I proceed?
Do we just leave it in downloads, or do we need to save it right now somewhere? Just
leave it in the downloads, just for the practice purpose.
Mhm.
And down the road, I'll let you guys know how do we secure these keys, not just leave them around.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right. Okay, so I have, we all have, our key created. So that's the first step, right? Okay, now the second step is, if I go back to this here, okay, so you see that we have this key pair created. So we have private key now with us. What is going to happen, or where is this public key? Okay, so what Amazon does is, when it creates this key pair for you, It provides you the private key. Amazon keeps the public key with itself. Okay, and it is secure with Amazon. So whenever we create an instance, a Linux instance, it will attach that public key to that instance, so that once that public key is attached to that instance, when we go in there, we connect through that private key. That private key and public key, if they matches, then Amazon grants us access to our instance. And I'll show you where it confirms us or verifies us that we have that, or we are using this key or any other key, okay, to access that instance. All right, just for the purpose of testing, let me just, you do not have to create that. I'm just creating it just to give you guys some clarity on this public private key area. So I'm going to create one more. Let me just name it as let's say test IEC key. Okay, same PPK key I created. Okay, so now I have two keys, right? One is my actual key and the other one I just named as test. It is as good as the other key. Okay, both the keys are, but both the keys are not identical. Both the keys are unique. However many keys I'm going to create, every key will be unique. No two keys are same. Okay, so keep this thing in your mind. So I created two unique keys here, and there's I'll show you in shortly what is the purpose of this test key I created. Okay, now that we have keys created, what we are going to do is we're going to scroll down in here on our left hand side, and we're going to go into the security groups. Okay, under network and security, you see the security groups. Just click on it. Okay, once we are in security group, you will see a default security group. Okay, just leave it as is. Don't worry about it. We're not going to delete it at this time, but down the road, I'll show you when we do the cleanup and when we are going to perform the security labs, then I'll show you how to delete that and all that stuff. Because by default, let's say when you go into an organization, they have a fresh cloud setup. What they do is, first thing the security team does is delete all the defaults. But before we go delete the defaults, we just ensure that our infrastructure start building, and then we start deleting all those defaults, because defaults are at times default values defaults have like open all values. Let's say if I just click on it here just to see what is this current security group showing me. The security group is currently showing me, if I go into the inbound rules, it is showing me that all type of traffic, whatever the protocol, whatever the port range, is just open. So that's why we do not use the default one. Okay, what we are going to do is on the right hand side you see the create security group. So just follow along. I'm going to click on this here. It is asking me about some basic information, and if I scroll down in here, it is asking me about or there's no inbound rules, so I will have to create some rules in here as well. Okay, what is the purpose of inbound and what is the purpose of outbound rules? If I just quickly go into our whiteboard here real quick. Okay, so what's happening is let's say this is my Linux instance. It has multiple services running on it. Okay, let's say I have another Linux instance as well. Similar, it has some services running on it here as well. Okay, it has SSH running, listening to port 22. Maybe it has some other service running as well that needs outbound access to, let's say, port 6000. I'm just randomly picking a port number in here. So this port 22 is for incoming traffic, but this port 6 or maybe this service what is running here, the purpose of this is to go from this Linux machine to the outside world, maybe to the internet, or maybe to this maybe this going to connect to maybe another service in here. So this is an incoming port and this is an outgoing port. Okay, by default Amazon says outgoing ports, all the outgoing ports are open. But if you want to secure your server, you want to just restrict the outbound access as well. Like not every port is going out. You can just simply put those specific values or plug or poke certain holes in the security group for the outgoing services, just like we do for incoming services. Okay. As an example, there is a syslog service or there is a Splunk service. What it does is, let's say if I have this Linux machine or maybe some other machine that has some logs being created here. In classical or in traditional form, whatever the logs that were being created, they used to stay within the operating system. Then they came up with an idea. Hey, you know what? We should have a central repository where all these logs to be shipped to the central repository, not just from this machine, but let's say I have like several hundred instances here. So all the logs which are being generated in here, they will all be going out on a real-time basis to this log repository. Okay. So that if anything happens to that machine, we will have those logs available to see what happened to the machine. Let's say if the machine crashed, crash burn, or whatever happened. So we will have those logs available where we could do our forensics. Okay, and do not get confused with this logs and all that. There's a topic about logs, flow logs and all that, which I'm going to be talking more in detail. So that will give you more clarity. Okay, so these logs, they are actually going out on a real-time basis, from all these machines. So for that, we have to poke a hole of that specific port so that these logs could go out from this machine to this central log repository here. Okay, so that's another example of outbound port here. Okay, so if I go back in here, so you see that there is no inbound rule, and there is one only outbound rule that is telling all traffic just going out from the machine. Okay, so inbound and outbound, it's in a perspective of that Linux instance or the Windows instance. Okay, so put yourself in that Linux instance shoes. Anything coming to your ear, you are listening to. Anything coming in, that's the inbound. Anything going out from you or going out from your machine, that is the outbound. Okay, so put yourself in that perspective, to get the clarity on that.
Faisal bhai,
Jeez.
can we have a break? It's our buffer is getting overflow.
Okay. All right. So I'll pause here. Let's take a 10-minute break, and then I'll continue on this. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. No problem. All right. So we are on 10 minutes break. There was one sister in Microsoft class, and she asked a question about putting things into perspective. The organization model internet and intranet. I don't know if she's here today or not. I'm not sure if it is you, Sister Samira.
Yes, it was me. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
All right, sure. So sister, I have that, in the um, in one of the lectures. So if time permits, I'm gonna go over this thing with you guys today. If not, then we'll have to put it to our next week's class. Okay.
Inshallah, whatever is easy for you guys as well, for
Sure.
everyone.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put you guys on a brief mute. I will be back shortly. I'm back, guys. Any question? Although we are on break. But if you want to discuss anything, please feel free to unmute yourself.
First of all, I just want to ask you, these whatever we're doing right now, creating keys and the security group, would those be the same naming convention as in Azure clouding as well?
Yeah, so Azure, Microsoft actually offers uh, not just only the key pairs, but they also offer the username and password capability as well. But here in AWS, you are bound to use only one user initially, which is EC2-user. But Azure actually gives you, more leverage. But the key pair, the principle is same over there at Azure and even at GCP as well.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as the naming convention goes, naming convention it's all up to you. I have seen organizations, they keep the name as like financial. Let's say if it's for financial machines development systems, or of fin underscore dev or fin dash dev 01 or something like that, so that the key name is legible there. And there are organizations. Once we, this is the basic thing, very basic stuff which we are currently doing. As we proceed along, we're going to go into the IAM. Then we're going to see that we will not be needing to create these keys. There's another mechanism of connecting to your instances through a different through using the IAM user method. So we're gonna, go do the lab on that as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So can you upload that link again for the patch, window patch?
Window patch.
What you call it, pet putty?
Yes. Okay. Oh, all right. Let me. Okay. Do you want me to?
I was listening while driving, so I'm home now. I want to download on my PC now.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So I just pasted back in here in the chat.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, Faisal bhai.
Sure.
This is
Salam.
Binti Jafri. Somehow, I don't know, I'm not the part of the chat. I don't know why.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah. I've been trying to do that, but I'm unable to.
Okay. Are you connected through a web browser or are you connected through the Teams app?
Teams app.
Okay. So let me just pull it in here. Inside the Teams app, here you see on top, you see different icons. So the
Yeah.
first icon is the participant. Next to it, do you see the show conversation?
Show participants and then conversation. Yeah.
Yes. If you click on conversation here,
Mm-hmm.
so you will see the entire conversation which is going on in here.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, but that's the last meeting conversation I've been seeing.
Okay.
And
I-
there is something coming down below that I cannot send messages because I am not a member of the chat.
I actually have it enabled for everyone. That's strange because if I go into the meeting options here, yeah, because chat is enabled for all the attendees.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm gonna do is let's do one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe after this call, I'm gonna just copy the entire chat and I'll email it to you. I'll be
Okay.
needing. I think I have your email address, and also maybe after this call, if after this class, if you just stick around, I just want to see your settings. If you could share your screen, and I'll just want to look into your settings there. Yeah.
Sure, I will do that. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay.
Faisal bhai, I have the same issue.
Okay. All right, perfect. Yeah, so maybe Raza bhai, if you just stick around, we'll just look into that. Although settings are pretty straightforward, it could be something at your end. We'll just look into that. Otherwise, I'll see if I could, copy today's entire chat and I'll put it to our OneDrive so that everybody will have the access to it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right. So we'll start. So there is a question by Nishid. Apart from the log repository, is it necessary to create outbound rules? No, it is not necessary. What if we just create inbound rules, because inbound rules are more important for hacking other issues? That's correct. So what's happening is, Nishid, security 101 is secure or close as much as possible. Just open or poke the hole which are only required. So I have seen in past, my personal experience is that outbound rule was, you see that here, outbound rule was open entirely, and there was one instance which was generating a lot of traffic. And when we go in there and did our investigation and find out that there was one service that was running and it was just sending the packets out. Since it is open for all, so it was just sending it out. And so what if we have closed down all those outbound and open for certain specific ports only, then that would not happen. So this is also to minimize or to avoid as much noise as possible. And noise in this sense is that the network traffic, minimize that network traffic as much as possible. Hope I answered your question here. Okay. And Saeed Ali's question, outbound rules to regulate what people do from within. Not really, but there is, yeah, this could be another use case to try to avoid um, traffic going out as much as possible. And there's another use case is, let's say if that machine got compromised, since outbound rule is open for everything, so machine, if that instance is compromised, that opens a door for open a vulnerability or open a door for that hacker to go and sneak in to the rest of the infrastructure there. Okay. Alrighty. So here what we're gonna do is we're gonna create the security group. So I'm gonna just name it as my IEC, or just name it as IEC. SG stands for security group underscore, let's say spring 2021. Okay. Description, this is the security group for this. Okay. And I just put in 2021 or whatever description you wanted to put in there. Okay. VPC, don't worry about this at this time, just leave it as default. This is a very detailed topic and we're gonna be, like I said, we're gonna be covering at least 2 classes, in that VPC area. VPC actually stands for virtual private cloud. So this is your cloud boundary, your account boundary. Okay. Make sure that you ensure that you are in North Virginia region here. Okay, inbound rules. So I'm gonna click on add rule. Okay, if I drop down this custom type inside this inbound rule, so there are some default ports already mentioned in here. So Amazon, what it finds out that what are the common ports that people use to to poke a hole. They put it these services already in here. Let's say if you could not find your specific service, you can, you can create a custom TCP or custom UDP or custom port or custom protocol, and you can put the the specific port number there. So if I scroll down in here, I see the SSH. See, as soon as I pick SSH, look, see what things are changing here. So I click on SSH. Oh, sorry. So the protocol is TCP and the port is 22. Don't worry about the protocol. There are two type of protocols. One is TCP and another is UDP. And this is what I'm going to cover in VPC area. Okay. So 22 port is open now. Destination. Okay. This is inbound. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. What has just happened? Okay, let me do one thing. Sorry about that. I instead of inbound, I picked the outbound rule in here. We'll do this real quick. Sorry about that. I cancel that. I go in again, create a security group. I'm going to provide the security group name. Okay, this is for basic access services. Okay. All right, VPC default, not making any changes. Are you guys able to see my screen? Sister Shella is not able to see my screen here.
No, I can see your screen. Somehow, I don't know. I must have just not paid attention for a minute, and you probably passed a few steps.
Okay,
So
let me
how
go
did you?
do
I mean,
this.
how did you get to that screen where you're at? I
Okay,
apologize for holding up.
I canceled that I canceled everything. Okay, so we are still in EC2. Okay,
Okay.
EC2 dashboard, and on the left hand side, if I scroll down under network and security, remember we did the key pairs. Now we are doing the
Yes.
security groups. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna click on security groups here.
Yep, that's where I am. Okay.
He said there is only one security group at this time, which is the default security group. You see the default security group.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to click on this here, create security group. So I click on the security group, basic details or basic information. So I'm going to just give it a name, IEC SG. Okay. And I'm going to just basic SG for IEC Spring class. Okay. All right, VPC will just leave it default. We're not making any changes. Now, inside the inbound rules right now, there is no inbound rule. So I'm going to click on add rule. And I'm going to drop this one down and scroll down. We are poking a hole for SSH port. Okay. If I go to this piece in here, okay. You guys see that here? Oh, where's my pen? You guys see that? So for the Linux instances, we are poking a hole for port 22 in our security group at this time. Okay. So we picked SSH service, port 22. Okay, source info. Source means where it is coming from. Okay. As I said, put yourself as, or put this Linux instance into the perspective. So anything coming in is the source, anything going out is the target. Okay. So source is, there are different type of source. Custom. Let's say I want this machine to be accessed by another specific machine only. I can provide that specific machine IP address or host name. Let's say I wanted to access this machine by my IP address only. I can provide my IP address, or I wanted to grant access to this machine from anywhere in the world. Okay, so I'm going to just click on anywhere. You are seeing two types. One is 4 times 0/0, and another is ::/0. Okay, so these are the IP addressing. I'm gonna go in detail again during the VPC/networking class, but there are two type of IP addresses. One is called IP version 4, another is called IP version 6. Okay, IP version 4 is a dotted notation for octets. 4 octets separated by 4 dots. Okay, and the value inside this IP is ranging from, every box has a range from 1 through 255 here. So the first one is 1 through 255. Remainders are 0 through 256. Okay, and IPv6 is a bigger model, and it goes with the colon notation, not the dotted notation. So there are colons, and then you see it's separated by slash here, slash as well here. Slash value could be /24 or /32 or /0. Okay, if the value is 0.0 like 4 times 0 /0, this means internet or anywhere. Okay, this means that anybody anywhere, say you guys can access my Linux instances, or somebody sitting in India or Pakistan, somebody sitting in Singapore, somebody sitting in Australia, or maybe somebody sitting right next to me, or my next door neighbor. Anywhere, from anywhere, they can come and access that. So 00 means internet or anywhere. Just remember it for now, this piece, and we'll go in detail in coming classes. The IPv6 notation for that is 2:/0. Okay, that means the same thing here. Okay, this thing is same as internet in IPv6 terminology, and this thing means the same in IPv4 terminology, that internet. If anybody says, hey, 00 like 40/0, or 0000, or quad 0, all mean the same, that is internet. Okay, it's a common, not a common, but it's a tricky interview question. Amazon does not ask you this question, in your exam, but it could be a tricky interview question. How do you define internet in network terminology? So it's 4 zeros or quad 0/0. Okay, in IPv4 terms, or in IPv6 term is ::/0. Okay, so here we picked anywhere, so that's why it has 40/0 and also 00. Oh, sorry, ::/0. That means if a person has IPv4 address on their laptop, or if a person has IPv6 on their laptop, either way they will be able to access that. How do I find out what am I getting, from my, at my computer? There are a couple of ways. One is there is a site called What is my IP? If you just type in there, it tells you your current IP address. Mine is showing with this. This is the IPv6 notation, because my router, or I'm currently with AT&T, so AT&T router is configured to provide me the IPv6. So this is, how do I know IPv6? Because it is over 256, one thing, and second is it is separated by colons. You see that? Plus it is a combination of alphanumeric. Okay, like you see the B and F as well here. You see all those numbers, and it is all separated by colon. On your laptop right now, if you just pull up a browser and just simply type what is my IP, it will tell you your public IP address. Okay, this is what the internet IP address that you have. Now, since I am um, inside my house and I have a network running, I have my laptop connecting to the Wi-Fi and several other machines and my kids' laptop and their phones and all that. So what is our internal IP address that I can find if I just click on window key here at the bottom right, and if I just simply type CMD, okay? If I just simply type CMD, it will take me to the command prompt. I'm gonna just click on it. Let me just increase the size here. Okay. If I just type here command IP config. Okay. If I type IP config and hit enter, what does it show me? It is showing me my wireless LAN because I am connected to Wi-Fi. Okay. This is my IPv6 address and all that. And IPv4 address, which is running internally here. Internally, it is giving me IP address of 192.168.1.56. This is my IPv4. How do I find out? One is that it has three digits, less than 256, plus it is separated by 3 dots here. Okay, so this is my IPv4 address. Okay, and this is my IPv6 address. Okay, so if you on your laptop just type the command prompt, in the command prompt just type CMD, this black window pop up, and then type the command ipconfig, and you will find out your IP address here. Okay. And also, so this is my internal IP address and my external IP address is this here. Okay. This is what internet is seeing. Okay. All right. So if I go back in here, so source is anywhere, either IPv4 or IPv6. Description is optional, so I'm going to just type in. So since this is for SSH, so I'm going to just type in Linux SSH. Okay, that this is for Linux servers. Now this is for my Linux instance. I'm gonna poke another hole for my Windows instance. And for my Windows instances, what will be the port? That will be the RDP port, RDP. So I'm gonna just click on add rule again. Okay. And then again, drop down custom TCP and look for RDP here. See the RDP? RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. If I click in here, by default, it picked the port 3389. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Sorry, if I'm holding the class up, I can just listen right now and then catch up later. But when I go in to create these rules, everything's grayed out. Am I missing something? You know, like when you go to inbound.
You mean this area? This area is grayed out?
Yeah, like when you go, right, when you do security group, create new group, and then you have your description, VPC, then you have your inbound, right? And it says add rule, or whatever. It's all, I can't add rule. It's all grayed out protocol. Everything just has a letter, like information symbol, you know?
Okay. Okay, do one thing. Let's hold off to it. Let's just follow along here and then just stick around after the class, and then I'll just look into that. Okay?
Okay, no problem. That's why I said I didn't want to hold you up. Okay.
Sure. Thank you. All right, so for this RDP, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna drop it down and type here anywhere. Same thing, came in here. Now this is for Windows, so I'm gonna just type here Windows RDP. Okay, so these are the two rules at this time we create. We added one for Linux access and then for Windows access. This is for inbound rules which we created. If I scroll down, outbound rules, just leave them as is for now. Let's not make any changes, and then we're gonna fine tune on those as we proceed along. As for the tag goes, so click on add new tag. I'm gonna click on the tag here.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but if I have a Mac, do I still do the RDP stuff, or is that just for Windows?
Yes, you need RDP stuff for Mac as well, because with RDP you will be able to connect to your Windows instance. Okay. All right, so tags although it's optional, but there's a reason behind. So tag is a key value pair. You provide a key name and you provide some optional value to it. So we're gonna just give it. So this key, the first key we are going to put as name. Okay. And what is the value? I'm gonna just name as IEC SG. Whatever the name you want to give, I just, give this name in here so that I would know that this is the security group I created for this IEC class. Okay. All right, so scroll down in here, click on create security group. Once I click on it, it is going to create, and now that our security group is created. Okay. Security group name is IEC SG Spring 2021, and all the rest of the details. Inbound rule is saying 4 permission entries. Why 4 permission entries? Although we created only 2 inbound rules, and then outbound is 1 permission entry. We're gonna look into this. Hey, what is happening? Why is it saying 4? Although we created only 2. We created one for port 22 and another one is for port 3389, which is the RDP. If I scroll down in here, inbound rules, I see that I am seeing SSH twice and I'm seeing RDP twice. So what is happening in here? So if I go in here and investigate further, so SSH TCP port 22, this area is common, with these two. Now, if I go into the source, oh, okay, so I got it. So it created individual rule for individual IP type. One is for IPv4 and another one is for IPv6. So that's why I am seeing 2 SSH. One for IP version 4 and another one is for IP version 6. Same thing goes with RDP here. You see that 00 and then colon 0. So that's why if I count them, they are 4. That's why it is telling me that our inbound rules are 4 here. I can edit that and I can delete the IPv6 if I want to. Or I can just leave it as is for now. So let's just, by default, just leave it as is by default for now. Let's not make any changes. Outbound rule, it is telling me that it has only 1 permission entry. So if I click on outbound rules, so outbound rule telling me all traffic, all protocol, everything going to the outside. Remember, outbound rule has a destination. Inbound rule has a source. This is a common mistake people make. Get confused with source and destination. So like I said, put yourself in that Linux or Windows instance shoe. Anything coming in is a source. Anything going out is a destination. Okay. So inbound, source, outbound, destination. Not a common question, but people at times people may ask, hey, I'm setting an inbound rule, so what destination should I pick? Inbound rules do not have a destination. Inbound rules will have a source, not a destination. Okay. And then going there under the tags, I see that tag is name IECSG. All right, perfect. So this is created here. On the left hand side again here, if I just scroll down under network and security, I'm going to click. I can click on security groups here, or I can click security groups in here as well. Although I see that it was created successfully. I'm going to click on security group. I should be seeing 2 security groups now. Okay. If you hover your mouse over here around this black divider line, you see the mouse shape changes. Click on it and scroll down, and you will get some space in here. Is there any question? Okay. Alrighty. So now I am seeing 2 security groups. One is IECSG. Remember, this is the one which we just created, and another one is the security group name default. So leave the default as is. Okay. Now I want you to under the name, if you hover your mouse over under the default here, once you hover your mouse here under the name, you see that this edit icon popped up. So just click on it and just type in here, do not use. okay? And then click save. So this is the name that do not use. So once we are going to create our instances, this will pop up and we would know, okay, yeah, so we do not have to use this one. This is a default one, okay?
Could you just show this step one more time?
Sure. Okay, this security group name default, okay? There's security group name IEC. Okay, we're not making any changes to it. We are going to make changes to this default one. So for this default one, scroll to the left, you see the name. Under that name, you once you hover your mouse over, you see this icon popped up. So just click on it, and then here just type do not use. Okay, and then click save. So it will save the name for this security group. Our security group, which we are going to use going forward, is IEC_SG or IEC security group. Okay. Are you guys with me so far? Maybe a couple of hand raise. Okay. Sister Khadija has any question?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let me just lower your hand here then. Okay. Alrighty. So we did a hands-on exercise on two things. One is we created the key pairs, and the another one is the security group. So we did two things here. Okay. Now we have about 20 minutes left. If I start creating an instance, it will take some time. We're gonna go over about 30 more minutes. So how about I stop in here and let me paste the link here again for you guys to download this, and I'm gonna email to you guys as well right after this, right after today's call. The link which I just pasted in the chat. This is a link to download Putty software. Okay, I put it up there, to our Google Drive, and this is only for the Windows guys. Linux, Mac guys, don't worry about it. You do not need to install anything. Okay. All right.
We did that before. We don't have to do it again, right?
Say what again?
I'm just asking, those who did it earlier don't have to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you do not have to do it again. Okay. All right.
Yes,
Now, yes.
I don't have 64 bits, so will it work on 32? I just downloaded 32.
Okay, try installing that Shabir bhai, and if it doesn't, let me know and I'll get the 32-bit for you.
No, I did download from the website and it is installing now, but just
Okay.
want to see if it's.
Let's see. Let's see. If it finishes. Okay. If it doesn't, just let me know and I'll get you the 32-bit.
No, I will get the new laptop. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna pause this lab here. I'm gonna go to our slide deck. Sister Samira asked real good question in our Microsoft class, and the question was around we are learning all these building blocks. How do we put everything in perspective? Like we are taking the Microsoft Collaboration Suite class. Maybe you guys are taking the machine learning class, or maybe and you guys are here in the cloud class, and you guys maybe in the coding class, sitting with your kids in the class. So all these building blocks that you guys are learning, how do we put that into a perspective? Let's say we are going to, we're gonna go full on and create our own, let's say, marketing company. Now, how all these building blocks going to help us out in setting up our infrastructure? What is internet? What is intranet? And what is the purpose of collaboration? How do we get our website done? And how do all these departments work internally? How do we keep internal information secure than from the outside world? what level of information do we have to publish to the outside, or how do we publish our information to the outside? So all these things, how do they make sense? Because there are a lot of, Lego blocks in front of us, but, we're just confused that, what building block to use for what purpose. So I thought that, I'll just, put together, 2 slides in here, and then, I'm going to use this whiteboard to, go over things, and, we'll try to, put things into perspective for you guys. Okay. And I am recording this so that you could, refer to that, afterwards as well. Feel free to stop me, chime in, if I'm going too fast, or if things are not making sense, or if you have anything else that you want to explore, within that perspective. All right, so let's say I am going full on, and I am going to create a company. Let's say my company name, I just pick a name, let's say Faisal.com. I know there's Faisal.com already. I've been checking, and this guy has been using it for, I think, for the last 20 some years, not letting me use that. But anyways, so let's say I picked a company, Faisal.com, and what I do is, let's say we do multiple things. We are a marketing / promotion company, and also along with that, we do some let's say we do some production work as well. Like, we have a small factory as well, and it does the production of certain goods, and we have certain supply chain running. That's that with that supply chain means that we have some raw material coming in, which we process, package, and then we sell it outside. We sell it through our brick and mortar store, plus we also sell it through our website as well. Okay, so this is like we have like 2 small businesses, we just combine together, and we are doing that. So let's say production of those goods is our main bread and butter. But along with that, I am running another parallel company, which does the marketing and promotion for different organizations and or different events as well. So when I started that company, so I find out, hey, you know what? I'll be needing some HR resources or HR people who would come in and help out in the HR side, recruiting, and the HR, setting the HR policies, running the payrolls and all that. So I set up HR department, and then the products which we were building and selling outside, people were calling us or trying to find us. Hey, you sold us this product, but this product has this problem, or this product has this many issues. So we're gonna be provide us some customer service as well. So we opened a customer service department as well. And then we have our sales guys who are going out and doing the sales, and then we have accounting and finance team that actually sits in and they do the the accounting and bookkeeping work for us, and financial work as well, that how our company is doing, and also how like how much raw material is coming in, how much are we processing, and how much are we selling, how much is in the warehouse, and what is the shelf life of those, and all those details the finance team, accounting and finance team they take care of. Then we have a distribution team, the distribution guys, they take care of, let's say, we're not just like they expanded our business, like we are not just selling through our brick and mortar store. Let's say we made a deal with Walmart and we have some shelf space with Walmart, so we have to distribute there. Or we also made a deal with let's say Uber Eats, that people are just ordering our products and getting them delivered to their to their, let's say, to their home or to their offices. Then we have some, let's say, let's not go in details, like no research and no R&D, and we have some administration and management and some operations, And then we have some, IT support as well. So let's say, we expanded our business and we grew up. Let's say we have like 200 people in our company. Okay. How do I put this all into perspective? Let's say, for example, let's just scroll up in here. Okay. So let's say we started out small. Now we are one big company here. We have different departments running. Let's say we have our internal marketing department, and then we have our finance department, and also we have, let's say, customer service, and we have our IT. Okay. So these departments, they have their set boundaries. The marketing is going to work in the marketing area. Finance is going to work in the finance, and then customer service dealing with the customers, and IT, related to, let's say all the servers and laptops we have, within our organization. The IT is going to, help out in that. Plus, they help out on the website as well. Our material, whatever, the products we are selling in the website, we have a pristine condition website, and, they're doing their work. Now, although these departments have their set boundaries, but there are certain areas where these departments, go talk to each other as well. Okay, like finance talks to customer service and find out that how many products have defects on them, and how many of them, were returned back to us. So customer service, gave us the number, and, that those numbers, finance or the accounts guys, they put into the books. Same goes, IT is checking with marketing. Hey, what is, this new marketing campaign coming out? How do we get that updated into our website? When do you want that, marketing campaign to be launched? Or marketing came to IT. Hey, you know what? This is the campaign going out, but our laptops or the software that is running on the on those laptops, it's not working smoothly. I think we think that we have some problems here. How do you can you send somebody in to come and fix those issues? Or finance is or IT is coming to finance. Hey, you know what? Our website is let's say our website subscription is due next month, and we need to pay X amount of money to our website hosting provider. So this is the invoice we got. So release this much money to those, and clear that invoice. So although they have their certain boundaries, but they are interconnected as well. This is all happening within the, let's say, within the office boundary. Let's say this is our headquarters in Chicago, for example. Okay, everything is happening within the boundary. Okay, whatever happening within the boundary of that, okay, is the intranet. NET, sorry. Whatever the communication is happening, whatever the work they are doing within the boundary, this is happening within the four walls of our headquarters. This is the intranet, that whatever is happening here stays here. And then there are certain areas where marketing is going out to create a flyer, and then publish that into the newspaper, or going to your different vendors, or setting up different events to market our product, which is, let's say we have some new product coming out. So they are going out and spreading the word out. So they are going out and talking to other people and all that. Same goes with IT. Let's say IT is going out, and they are updating the website, which is being faced by the public, outside public, right? Like you and I, let's say we are going to Faisal.com and see, oh, okay, so this is a new product coming out, or IT has, let's say, another app they are maintaining, and that app has, pretty much, the same details or same order information, that is, being utilized. So, these departments which are going out and publishing things to the outside world, anything that is going outside your four walls of your office boundary, anything that is being published to the outside world, that is internet. So anything outside these four walls is internet, which is being consumed by, or which is being utilized by the external entities. Let's say I am a manager at Faisal.com, and let me just pick, let's say Shabar Bhai is just, going out. Let's say Shabar Bhai is, sitting from his home and he connected to our website. So he is connected to our external wing here. Let me just put it here. So Shabar Bhai has access to only to the information which our IT department published to the outside world. So Shabar Bhai has access to this information only. Shabar Bhai does not have access to the information inside inside those four walls of our office. So whatever the information he has access to that is published to the outside world is the internet. Okay. Now let's just say, let's say this is Amazon. Okay. So Amazon has, has internet presence. They have the app presence, and they have marketing ads coming out. They make their they do their road shows, or several different things they do through their marketing, and they do through their IT. So whatever is published to the outside world, we have only access to that area. Whatever is happening inside Amazon, we do not know how the employees are doing, how the employees are being taken care, how those departments are laid out, how dependent are they on the computer system, or how digital are they intern or inside those four walls. That information is not publicized or published to us. That is all the information which stays within that organization boundary, within that organization, that is intranet. Any information which is published to the outside is the internet. Okay, now let's just expand upon these four walls here. Okay, now these four walls of our headquarters, we have those four departments. Okay, these four departments are collaborating to each other, right? And these four departments are doing other stuff as well, like talking to each other, or publishing the internal publishing some material internally as well. How did they do that? Previously, like pre-cloud days, they have let's say a server room that has lots and lots of servers here that is hosting all their information, right? But now that we have cloud-based collaboration tools, what Abir is teaching, Microsoft Teams or Microsoft Collaboration Suite, that is giving us all those capabilities, and we are utilizing all those capabilities within the four walls. Although it is, let's MS Collab Suite, which is sorry, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams. There are a couple other items, but these are the main areas which what you guys are learning in Abir's class, right? In collaboration suite class. they are coming through the cloud because they are not hosted to your Office local server. Microsoft is giving you access to it so that you could access and deploy within the four walls. Okay, so within the four walls, although it is coming from the cloud, but it's not accessible to everyone outside. So you actually contacted Microsoft. Now you have a, um, let's say, a dedicated access to your SharePoint. Let's say you created your SharePoint, um, you know, mars14 dot on microsoft.com, right? That's what we created, right? So this SharePoint, I have a dedicated access within my four boundaries here. Now, how am I going to leverage that? Okay, so I gave access to my marketing department, let's say marketing, finance, customer service, and IT, right? We empower our marketing department to publish their SharePoint, which is accessible internally to all these departments. Okay, same goes with finance. Finance created their own SharePoint. They have the SharePoint site that publish the finance information. Marketing publish their marketing information, which is only accessible and which is only making sense to that business only. Okay. IT, let's say, have their own SharePoint, and customer service has their own SharePoint. Let's say customer service, they put in a, last quarter, we resolve, let's say, 20 tickets, and out of which, five of them were the defect, faulty products, so we return back, or we give them, store credit. IT published, hey, you know what, we resolved this many issues, and we are currently looking for, let's say, our work is increasing fivefold. We are looking for four additional resources. So is there anybody, inside the organization who want to make a change? Let's say, you were working in marketing. Now, do you want to work for IT? So, that's the internal job postings within the organization you guys must have seen, right? Finance, let's say, doing the same thing. Marketing saying, hey, you know what? We are about to launch a new marketing campaign, and we are looking for some fresh faces. And we have a limited budget, so we cannot go outside for expensive models. Hey, do we have someone internal who could come in and be a photo op for do a photo op for our our this marketing flyer, or just talk or give some word of advice for that specific product, so we are looking internally. So they publish all this information internally. Okay, so now every team has their own internal published site. Where are they hosting this internal published site? They are hosting it on SharePoint. Okay, now marketing has, let's say, the president of the company. Every month he has all hands meeting with all the employees of the company. Okay, so what it does is president actually set up a meeting on Teams and invited everybody. So in that meeting, people from finance, marketing, customer, IT, all those people, they come in and they join the meeting what president set it up for them. And then president gave the speech, hey, last quarter we did this much, and now we are we are expecting some growth, although the times are tough, it's pandemic and all that, but our product is selling fivefolds, so we are going to increase our team, we are going to increase our production and all that. So president set up this Teams meeting, a virtual meeting, and he used the Teams. Just similar way like I am using Teams and I am connected to you guys. Okay, So, but this meeting is not going outside, the boundaries of the the four walls of the headquarter. Everything is staying within that within that boundary. So that's what Teams is being used for. Okay. Similar thing for OneDrive as an example. So Microsoft has a shared drive. Oh, sorry, marketing has a shared drive, and they are stuffing all the data or saving everything in there. Same goes with finance or IT and all those guys. But there are some areas where marketing is sharing some of the information with finance, so they granted shared access to that specific folder to finance, and finance can go in and pull that information from that. Here in our class case, I created one Google Drive, which is a shared drive. I created Google Drive, I uploaded some stuff there, and you guys have access to it. So you guys can go in and download the stuff from there. Okay, you guys have only read-only access. Let's say marketing did the same thing. They granted the read-only access to finance. So finance could go in and pull that, let's say monthly report from marketing. Okay, so in your case, you guys have read-only access to the, to that Google Drive. You can just simply go in and pull the information from there, or the files or reports that I put in, you just, pull it, pull from there. You cannot update there. So if I grant you a write access, so you can just, upload your stuff there as well. So it's all about how the security is set up. So that's the purpose of OneDrive. But whatever is happening, everything is happening within the four boundaries, which is the intranet. Okay, whatever is happening, this whole collaboration and all that, it's all happening within the four boundaries, not going to the outside. So not going outside is the intranet, and IT is publishing their website. Marketing is going out marketing campaign, or talking to other companies, or running the road shows to the outside world. That is the internet. Okay. I hope I made this clear to you guys. Any question on that? Hope I'm not mute. Yeah. Okay. Did that make sense, Sister Samira? Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Alrighty. So this is the difference between the internet and intranet, and then how whatever the tools we are learning, that we're putting it into perspective. Now, quickly. So this is about the collaboration tool, right? What about this cloud or the AWS, what we are, currently getting trained on? Now, AWS help out in both ways. AWS helps out in intranet or internet. Let's say for intranet, there are some services which is only for specific, for their organization, that they don't want anyone else to, go from the outside, come and access that. But there are some services which are available that you could, publish to the outside world. Let's say we build an app or a website for this, for this firm, and we publish on the AWS. Here, the security group that we created, or those Linux servers that we are creating, these this Linux servers and Windows servers or instances which we are going to create, we're going to be accessing it within our if we access within our office boundary, that is going to serve intranet. If it is being served to the outside world, that is going to reside in the internet. And as we proceed along, especially when we go into the security side, I'm gonna keep this in mind, and I'm gonna try to put this this thing into perspective, based on our this organization org chart, which I just showed to you guys. Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing here. I know we are 6 minutes over, and I apologize for that.